Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Breeze. Breezeway Productions, The Breeze, where we bring you the latest in independent films and film festival news. And we have with us today a director of photography on the award-winning Tribeca Film Festival film Allswell. We have Oren Soffer here with us today. How are you, Oren?
Hello. Good. Glad to be here. Excited to spend the afternoon with you.
Right on. Well, thanks
The
for coming
entire
on the
afternoon.
show. Yes, this will go on for hours. This will be a
Yes,
3-hour interview.
Get ready. Get comfortable. Make sure you have a snack. This is going to be a good one.
Bust out the popcorn. Awesome. So you were the DP on the film All's Well, and tell me a little bit how you got involved with this project. We'll start with that.
Yeah, well, it was sort of one of those friend of a friend of a friend situations that is kind of the best case scenario of what you would hope for as someone sort of establishing a foothold in the industry. Like, you work with one person, they recommend you to someone else, they recommend you to someone else. Mm-hmm. Through a roundabout way, I had actually already worked with the producer of All's Well many years ago when I was still in film school, interning for Reed Morano on a couple of features that she was doing in New York. Okay. And Ari Isler, our producer, is also a working camera operator. And so he camera operated on at least one or two of those films that I did with Reed way back when. So it sort of all came full circle. We reconnected years later now as a DP, and he's a producer. And yeah, the industry sometimes surprises you at how small it is. It
Very
just
true.
Occasionally reminds you of that, especially like New York indie scene is, it's pretty small, but it was great. Yeah.
Awesome. Word of mouth brings you around, and doing good work means that your name comes up in conversation, and it came up in this conversation. So it's good to have familiar faces that you're working with.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. For this film, tell me a little bit more about your camera choices, or tell me about your camera choices, lens choices, and your specific style of being a DP.
Yeah. Well, on this film, the director, Ben, and I really wanted to make sure that it was an actor's showcase and a dialogue showcase. I mean, when I first read the script, it became very apparent that this was a very dialogue-driven, character-driven film, and that would be something that needs to be emphasized and showcased. And it wasn't anything, it was something that I hadn't really done before, to be honest, as a DP. And it kind of scared me a little bit going into it, which is what motivated me to kind of pursue the project. Is that up until this point, I'd really mostly done kind of more genre-y stuff, or at least things that have a little bit more visual flair or stylization to them in the narrative world. And I was really nervous but excited by the prospect of doing something where you're like, okay, this cannot be stylized. Like you cannot make this film with a visual style that distracts from the actors and from the script and from the story. It has to be really full-throated support system for those elements and to showcase those elements. And so I was really excited by that and nervous, like I mentioned, but we love a challenge, and that's what motivates a lot of my decisions as a DP, is doing things that are scary and head first into the unknown. Yeah. So yeah, our big conversations first early on were, how do we make this do that, but without compromising on the visuals and without not using the visual medium? Otherwise, it could be a play or it could be a novel. Like, why is this a movie specifically? You want to use visual language, you want to use aesthetics, but you don't want them to overshadow anything else, right? So yeah, we had some very fruitful conversations early on about theme and meaning of the story, the sort of larger meaning of the story and of the character dynamics that were important to Ben, who's the co-writer of the script and the director. And exchanged references. We looked at a lot of films. We had a little homework list for ourselves that we would add to as we were going on through prep, and just movies to watch and look for inspiration.
What movies did you have for inspiration?
Well, it's sort of a cliche that New York is a character in the film, right? but that cliche exists for a reason. And there's plenty of other films throughout cinema history in which that has been the case, and they've really taken that to heart. The first reference that Ben mentioned to me was Gordon Willis, and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting," because that's pretty kind of moody, dark stuff. But we deep dived Gordon's work, and there's a lot of stuff in there that isn't as dark and moody as people would think. Specifically the New York movies. I mean, there is that element to them, but it's not the whole film. Like you look at Clute and you look at Manhattan and you look at, there's moments in these movies where it just strikes that perfect balance, where it's aesthetic, it's beautiful, it's using the frame, it's using the language of cinema, it's using composition to enhance story and uplift character, all the things we want it to do. But the lighting isn't sort of distractingly dark or moody or anything like that. And so we kind of pinpointed those specific frames and pulled them out. And we looked at a lot of Noah Baumbach's sort of recent stretch of movies, the New York set movies. A little bit of Marriage Story. It was more Meyerowitz stories. That was our big one.
Meyerowitz stories, yeah.
Yeah, I think we both really liked that one. That's our favorite Baumbach movie. Ben and I share that. The Squid and the Whale.
Sandler never really showcased how hard it is to park in Manhattan, except for that.
No, but actually, the first shot of Allswell is a specific reference to the first shot of Meyerowitz stories. It sort of starts in the car, and in Meyerowitz stories, Adam Sandler was like mid-drive and park, and in Allswell, the car's already parked. But we did, the first image on our shot list is that shot from Meyerowitz stories of Adam Sandler in the car. So we put the images that we pulled in the shot list directly so that we can always just reference framing and all that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we looked at little bit of Mrs. America and Squid and the Whale, Francis Ha. He did a good run of New York films that have that quality to them, where the cinematography isn't not present at all.
Yeah,
like there's a look to those films. It's a beautiful look. Sam Levy shot most of those. And at least the recent ones, the chunk of recent ones.
New York is definitely its own character. It can be portrayed as Gotham in a lot of the Batman movies. It can also be played as like a young, thriving, melting pot of cultures, like in The Godfather. Or it could also be in like a fun, Newsies musical, just all different eras of it being growing. And then now like the metropolis that it is, there's many different sights and sounds of New York, which is why it definitely is its own character.
Yeah, 100%.
What to you makes the best camera team? The best assets that an AC would have or a Slate would have that you really look for while you're in production and when you're working with people?
That's a great question. Also, I realized I didn't answer the camera and lens question, but just to briefly touch on it, motivated by that same adage of we want it to be not non-existent, but not overshadowing anything in the film. We wanted to pick the most sort of quote unquote neutral camera package and lens choice that we could that wouldn't distract. Like we knew right away this wasn't going to be anamorphic. This wasn't going to be anything with too much character. We didn't want to go down the road of vintage lenses that can create those kinds of patina, distracting patina. So we shot on Cooke S4s, which I find to be sort of a really pleasing mix of softness and warmth, but they're still modern lenses, sharp lenses, but they're not completely devoid of character. And we shot on the ARRI Alexa Mini, which is sort of just the standard go-to. Yeah. And okay, so what makes a good camera team? And to me, the way I always put it sounds a little funny, but I'll explain the answer and it'll make sense. My ideal camera team is, especially my first AC, is someone that I don't talk to the entire shoot. Like somebody that, we can talk at lunch, we can talk in between setups or after wrap, but I'm always looking for somebody who can kind of just run the camera department on their own and takes initiative to do that and really steps into the leadership role of running the camera department and not just being laser focused on the focus pulling, no pun intended, but really understands that it somebody put it this way once. I can't remember who said this, but it's basically like everything from the sensor block forward is my domain. Lens choice, filters, if we're putting in any filters, everything in front of the lens, lighting, mise-en-scène, but everything from the sensor block back is the camera department's domain, like the first AC's domain. So it's like, I don't get involved even. I want them to choose their accessories, how to build the camera rig, what kind of tools they want to bring on, like whatever they need to run that machine and to do their job, pulling focus and to facilitate the shoot and everything that I need out of it. I kind of just defer to them, and I don't want to even be bothered by it. That's the ideal version. But sometimes you have to get more involved in certain things, but we were really lucky to find a camera team on this. Chris Cafaro was our focus puller, and Amanda Uribe was our second AC, they had just come off of a TV show. So they had done 8 or 9 months, I think, on like a long TV show in New York. And we're just looking to jump on something quick and fun and creative. So we got them at just the right time, and they hopped on, and it was just such a great experience. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, shout out to those people for being a part of the camera team and making this production work. And I also want to thank you for coming on the show to spend some time with me to talk about Allswell, which screened at Tribeca this year. In closing, where can people go to find out more about you and your work, and like on social media platforms and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm on Instagram. You can search my name, Oren Soffer, DP, and I'll pop up. I have a website, also my name. And yeah, I think I beat the other Oren Soffer on Google finally. So if you just search that name, the other guy who's like a PhD psychology professor in Israel, I think, I've managed to get him onto page 2, which was a huge accomplishment for me. Sorry to that man. I'm sure he's great.
The war has been won, so now he is now coming up first, and his analytics are really popping. So
that's right. That's right. Now I think the little, on Google, you get this little window on the side that gives a little bit of extra information about you. I think it still says, like, it has my name and photo and my film credits, but then it has the bio of the other guy. So then it says, like, Oren Soffer is a PhD psychiatry professor at the University of
talented, and you didn't even know.
Didn't even know it. Yeah, I've made it to the top in multiple fields, and I'm extremely proud of it.
Right on. We're all proud of you. We're all counting on you, and
somehow
we're all excited
together to make one ultimate version of Oren Soffer.
Well, the superhuman Oren Soffer, doctor / DP on the film Allswell. I want to thank you again for spending time with me, talking about your cinematic choices and what makes a good camera team. And we hope that our audience is able to check out Allswell, which is screening at the Tribeca Film Festival. And we hope that you're able to see Oren once again on his next film that he works on. So again, thank you so much for stopping by The Breeze.
Yep, cool. Cheers. Thanks for having me.